Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Gray, and I worked with Caroline Capocha for more than 10 years at Ritchie Park. And I wanted to tell you kind of our story. And so let me just go back to when I first went to student teaching. I'll start there. When I was in student teaching, I met Jackie Pepino, who was a 40-year veteran second grade teacher. She was my mentor, and she was really tough. She told everybody right to their face what she felt. She told the kids, parents, other teachers. I was frankly kind of surprised they put me in a room with her, and I learned to be very outspoken, and it carried into my teaching. I left there and I went on to other schools such as Gaithersburg Elementary and Glen Allen Elementary. And both of those schools, you could go right to the parents and tell them to their face, your child is out of control. You need to fix this, or we need to work together to fix it. And so after that, I moved on to Ritchie Park, where in Potomac, that is not something you can do. And I learned real quick. And so did Caroline. And so early on, I had a parent-teacher conference, and the parent was kind of surprised that their child was ruining pretty much every lesson I had in the classroom. And I said, your child is out of control. This is just like Jackie. You need to really consider taking your child to a pediatrician and getting some Connor scales, and let's get this ball rolling. Let's get teachers filling them out, and we can gather some data and find out exactly what your child needs to make a better contribution to the class, because he's ruining my lessons. And the parent went home, talked to their spouse, and they called Catherine and said, why does Mr. Gray feel that my child needs to go to a pediatrician? And Catherine, of course, called Caroline and said, find out what the hell is going on with Tom. So Caroline and I would work together, and Caroline would be so sweet and say to me, Tom, I get it. I'm in your room. I teach lessons to the same kids. I know that boy is wild. And so, but you can't tell the parents to go to a pediatrician, and you can't tell them to get Connor scales. You're not a doctor, and this is not the way we handle this. So we moved on from that, and later on, I had another kid driving me crazy in my classroom, but this child was staring at the wall for like a long time at a poster. And I told the parent that when that parent came for a parent-teacher conference, I said, your child stares at that poster literally 4 hours in the morning, and then kind of walks around the room in the afternoon. So, we really need to take care of this. Your child's on the spectrum somewhere, and your child needs to be given strategies to handle this. And I need strategies. But we need to get to the bottom of this. So the parent went home and told their spouse that their child was on the spectrum. And so the parents ended up calling Catherine. Catherine calls Caroline, and Caroline calls me and says, Tom, no spectrum. No, we can't do that. We can't have parents, finding out from you that their child is on the spectrum. I was like, well, it's so obvious. 4 hours staring at a poster. Come on. But we let that go. I moved on. And so the next time I had a parent in my room, their child was driving me crazy. And so just misbehavior one after another. And so I couldn't talk about the doctors, couldn't talk about the spectrum. I was on my own. So I told them, ma'am, this is what happened to me, and it worked wonderfully. I came home and I was showing the same behaviors that your child was showing. So I told him, ma'am, when my mother found out that I was doing the same behaviors as your child, I heard her coming down the hallway jingling with a belt. And when you hear that jingling, you know she's got the other end of the belt. and you're getting buckled to ass real soon. And I got it. And I covered up, but I got it. And I learned a lesson. And it worked real good. My junior and senior years at St. John's, there was no more misbehavior, no more acting out. I got honor roll. My sister too, Maggie too, got the same thing. Honor roll at Immaculata when my mom started walking around with that belt. So the parent goes home, talks to the other parent, and they call Catherine's boss, who then calls Catherine, and Catherine calls Caroline and said, we got to meet with Tom. What the heck is going on with this buckle to ass thing? So we end up meeting and talking about it. And sure enough, I cannot talk about that stuff anymore. I'm basically cornered because my strategies are, I can't bring them up anymore. So just to finish this up, I wanted to tell you that Caroline was just a model of just chill. And she handled me so well, and she redirected me, and I really appreciate how, understanding she was. She told me she understood where I was coming from. The kids were sometimes really crazy. And so we moved on from that. But I did want you to know that my mother, who used a belt on us with success, my mother taught my sisters how to sew, and I had 4 sisters. And one of those sisters, my oldest, moved out, and she didn't really get to make dresses for her prom or the regimental ball at St. John's or any of that stuff. She got into sewing, and she got into sewing leather goods, and she sewed purses and handbags and other little things. But one year for Christmas, she sent a box to my mom and for the kids, for everybody, because she wasn't coming home. And she was a hippie from the 60s. She lived in Massachusetts. So when she sent that box, my mom opened it up Christmas morning in front of Maggie and I. Maggie's a year younger than me. And so she spilled out 5 leather belts with fat-ass hippie buckles on those belts. And we were like, what the hell is my sister thinking sending that stuff to our house? And so my sister and I looked at each other and we were like, this is really not good. And let me tell you, these Catholic moms, they didn't just stop at belts. If my mom looked around the house and there was no leather belt, even though we had about 15 of them in our house, if she didn't see one, she'd just rip a coat off a hanger and stretch that hanger out, and you hear that whispery sound of a hanger going through the air. You better cover up. And I did, and I ended up with stripes across my hand. This was old school Catholic mothers given approval by the brothers at St. John's, the nuns and priests at Blessed Sacrament. That body you can't hurt, but that ass is yours. And so my mom took a good liking to it, a good switch to it, and that was old school. And but obviously I couldn't bring it up in front of parents in my classroom. Again, Caroline, you were the best, and you put up with so much. Thank you.